Good morning, YouTube. Today is March 3rd, 2023. And I just saw this headline about Chicago Police Department Superintendent David Brown resigning. And this happens a couple of days after LiteFoot is defeated. Now, don't get it twisted because LiteFoot lost to another Democrat. And I'm guessing it's another soft on crime Democrat, right? But even though this new person, I don't know what their name is, might be soft on crime, they might be a little tougher than Lightfoot. Under Lightfoot, there's been a skyrocketed number of murders, just crime in general, just heinous, mind blowing crime, most of whom the victims are black people, right? And you know, Lori Lightfoot was or is a soft on crime liberal leftist. Obviously, she's a lesbian, a woman, a black woman, so she checks a lot of minority check boxes, which is what the game the Democrats are playing. You have to be three minorities and follow their ideology in order to be considered, um, fit for any kind of power or position. But as we've seen, the Democrats, especially the far leftists, their policies almost always result in mayhem and chaos, especially for black people. They claim they're for black people, but anyone that knows a little bit of history knows that the Democratic Party used to be invented the KKK, and now they're shape shifting into people, a group that loves black people, and they point fingers at the Republicans as the group that does not like black people. And their policies, the Democratic policies, the leftist policies, almost always ends in disaster because they enact policies based on emotion, right? They claim they care for black people, which I think is just a trick, right? How else will they win against the Republicans than to come in and say, "Hey, dear minorities, we love you. These other guys hate you, so vote for me. And by the way, here's some food stamps. Food stamps. Oh, and since we know your kids are criminals, we'll reduce the police and abolish police, so your kids can continue being criminals, so you can keep voting for us. And oh, by the way, victims of crime, we don't care. You don't exist. If something happens to you, we will squash the news, make sure nobody hears it, and go on our merry way. If you're a victim of crime, sorry, we don't know you exist. Goodbye. If you're dead, hey, they don't care. Their claim to fame, the only way they get power is to claim they love black people, which people fall for, and then they come in and enact policies that destroy you in the long run. Their policies create generational destruction for black people. Okay, and then they put puppet leaders like Lori Lightfoot who come in and just turn a blind eye to murders. Black victims just keep dying at the hands of these evil people. So the woke mob does more harm than good. But anyway, this guy here, David Brown, has resigned as Chicago Police Superintendent. Let's listen a little bit, and I'll give a little bit more commentary.
Yeah, Ravi and Judy, people weighing in after Superintendent Brown announced he's leaving CPD on March 16th to take a job as chief operating officer of a personal injury law firm in Texas. The announcement comes about 6 months before he turns 63, which is the mandatory CPD retirement age.
His nearly 3-year tenure, at times tumultuous, Superintendent David Brown has been the face of CPD during a time of historic change. Hired in April 2020 during the early weeks of the pandemic, Brown had a national reputation after a long career with the Dallas Police Department. But he came under fire in the summer of 2020 following not one but 2 rounds of unrest and looting. That criticism growing louder amid a spike in violent crime. In fact, multiple categories of crime are up from before he took his post.
Whomever the next superintendent will be, I would love for our city to get behind him for the betterment of the city, to make sure that we have senseless violence and crime reduced to a very low level.
Today, Mayor Lightfoot praising.
Now, this statement this man made is very interesting. They want to reduce crime, right? They want guns off the street. They want to do all these great things. However, when you present them with the solution, which is arrest criminals and keep them in jail, they reject that solution, right? They want to talk about restorative justice. I mean, all these people have been brainwashed and infected with this ideology, this woke leftist ideology. And it's very hard for them to snap out of it because it creates this us versus them and they hate us narrative. And people love that. America is just a divided country. Black people love hearing that white people hate them, and they love the revenge aspect of it, even if it costs them human lives, right? And this is the ideology given to black folks by leftists, woke leftist ideologists, right? And it's very hard to get rid of this sickness and disease in the black community. So these guys keep talking about they want safety, but they don't. Because if you go arrest their son, who's a gangbanger, they're going to say you're oppressing the black man, right? They want him to be free. The minute he frees with an ankle monitor, he goes and shoots up another house or kills people, innocents, in the crossfire. So it's a very weird situation that we're in. The guy who draws Dilbert or whatever said, stay away from folks. And he did make an interesting qualifier. Stay away. The people who don't like education, stay away from them. So the ghetto part of town, don't go there. Don't do anything there. If you have friends there, don't meet them at their house, because you might be safe from your friends, but stray bullets are everywhere. Just move away from them. Always keep money. If you find out your neighborhood is getting ghetto, it's time to move out, farther out. So you have to have at least 10 grand cash sitting in your bank somewhere, or 401k easily accessible, so you can get some real estate and move out if something, if your neighborhood begins to get ghetto. And neighborhoods tend to sour maybe 7 to 10 years later, right? So when it's built, it'll stay cool. It'll be undiscovered, and then all of a sudden you find out the woke leftists discovered there's a new haven here, it's clean. Then they move the Section 8 folks there, they build these apartments, move low-income people there, and then those people, their kids come and ruin the whole place. Next thing you know, they're looting, pants sagging, noise, disturbances, and then they start breaking into cars, and then they do home invasions, and then robberies and drive-by shootings. And then next thing you know, your whole real estate goes down, your value goes down, and crime rises. So, I mean, Chicago is a tough situation. It's just like Baltimore and D.C. Democrat run. Almost every city, they say, in America right now is Democrat run, and it's high crime environments. And these black leaders are infected with this idea that jailing black criminals is oppression and racism. But they don't consider that allowing black civilians, the ones that work hard in society, to be killed is also racism and oppression, right? They don't consider that. So we're battling ideologies here, and I think eventually these anti-woke universities and conservative platforms need to really be direct. I noticed that in America, a lot of people talk using innuendos and sarcasm with this race issue, but they need to, like, the audience you're dealing with, you have to tell them direct, right? The IQ is a little low. People critical thinking skills is kind of hard to come by in this community. So you have to be direct and tell them what's up. That's what they understand. Just like the Dilbert cartoonist did a direct comment and people got it, right? That's why people are in uproar. If he had done a sarcastic dig, people wouldn't understand it. So you have to be direct with this group of people you're dealing with. But anyway, conservative blacks know this, that when you see signs that your neighborhood is getting ghetto, it's time to go. Yeah, all skin folk ain't kin folk. It goes the other way too. Not all blacks like crime, okay, and degeneracy and violence. Not all of us like it. Some do, some don't. So I think that's where the line is. I think it's an ethnic or cultural difference. within the same race. One group thinks you're oppressed and they want to have crime. They have no snitching codes and degeneracy is their culture. And then another group is not like that, right? But it's hard for the other group to break away, because then if you break away, then the crazy group will say, you're with the other side. You hate us. You're race. You hate yourself, right? All the little digs. But you can still take that and still break away and live your life. You know what I mean? And get away from these horrible people. But anyway, this guy is out. LiteFoot is out. We'll see who comes in, and we'll see if Chicago keeps burning. Peace.